It's not about filling the hole that was left. It's about navigating through a new variable in your life. How do you move forward and just be again?
When this first happened, I had actually been training for one of the biggest battles of my life, Red Bull BC1 in India. And I was very shocked. It was not an easy process at all.
It's been completely different from 6 months ago to now.
It's not like this for sure. It's more like
we needed to do things that would purposely either take our mind off of it or work through it in a healthy way. We had to be very gentle with ourselves and listen to ourselves, listen to our emotions, and prioritize self-care. Staying connected with Val, staying connected with Mayday, staying connected with the whole crew, being open with communication, not being afraid to talk to people, because especially if they're going through the same thing.
I found strength in my crew, Underground Flow, and I especially with May and Lo. I would say going through something like this, you definitely need that support, and you need to know that it's okay to reach out for help. Acknowledging the fact that it's okay to be completely not okay.
I gave myself time and space to feel sad, and then sometimes that would lead to me crying, sometimes that would lead to me just sitting for a while, breathing, being outside. And I think those times are important because we can't suffocate or suppress anything that we're feeling. It'll only just get worse if we bottle it up. So let things out and actually feel them was very, very healthy for all of us. If I needed to cry, I just let myself cry. I didn't try and hold it back. I just did it, and it felt better after.
You know, being with people is a good coping mechanism. But then as time went on, I started realizing that I didn't want to be around people either. I found that the more I was around family and friends, the sadder I got. And I felt like as I was in those moments where we were in groups of people, I was struggling to find how to control and understand my emotions while there was so much energy just everywhere. I realized that I just needed to be alone, you know? I thought that was really awkward at first. I thought that I had to be around so many people because that's how you grieve, right? That's how you cope. You do it in clusters, in groups with family. But as time went on, I realized that's not the way for me, you know?
Like, mental health is so important that it's so vital to know when you're not okay and to do whatever you need to do to become okay. So for me, I had to understand that it's okay to feel anger, to feel confusion, to feel guilt, to feel lost, and to release it. And my way of releasing it was definitely through crying. I cried a lot and I still am crying. But that's the way my body, my spirit heals, is through crying and talking about it. So this whole Project Dave is actually a very healing process for all of us right now.
During that time, it was easy to make exaggerations and have a lot of self-blame. And so to prevent these things, it was important to just talk to friends and family and just prioritize reaching out and staying connected.
I started writing, so I don't write often. I do like writing, but I started writing poems, and I think for me it was a huge release because I couldn't verbalize what I was feeling, and in conversations I would either get choked up or I'd get angry. And I just hope that people could just understand what I was feeling without, you know, having to check in on me because I was growing. Feeling mentally drained. Understanding can also be energy demanding. I think we put ourselves in this position, always trying to think, but do we ever listen? Listen to what's within us. It's our inner universe trying to reach us.
Singing helped a lot. On the morning rain, I used to feel so uninspired. Listening to music helped a lot. And honestly, crying. For me, crying helped so much because, like, it's also scientifically proven that crying helps you release certain emotional burdens.
I was ready to go to work, right? And I was like, we're about to leave, and I decided to say a little prayer before I left. And that prayer turned into me crying, and it ended up, I just like cried for 2 hours straight, and I didn't know why I couldn't stop. But that was kind of a sign to me that, you know, I needed to mourn. I needed that day to mourn and just to be with my feelings in my space. So I ended up calling in sick that day for work, and I'm glad I did, because throughout that day I cried on and off, but it was definitely a day needed for me to release whatever was building up in my heart, so that I could be better.
I couldn't bring it in myself to session, to dance, because a big part of breaking involved him. And everyone at the gym knew us there, like me, Filthy, FedEx, Dave, Angelo, like some Kendama friends. Like, there was just so many of us that would go there together. And I remember thinking, like, I don't even know if I'll be able to walk in that building again. So we took a break. Simple as that. Like,
dancing was really hard to do when I first found out. Everything was actually really hard to do when I first found out. I didn't have the motivation or the drive. And then that made things worse too, because I would start to like blame myself for not picking it back up right away. So it just, I had to listen to myself, and that taught me a lot. It taught me that like I have to listen to my emotions, because we're humans and we're not always going to feel like doing some things.
Through photos I had with Dave throughout all the years of knowing him. First met Dave in 2006. He actually came to SoCal to visit Villain, and that's when I first met him. Going through old photo albums, old IG stories, was allowing him to live again. To cherish those memories, I felt a lot of healing in that.
Killing it, Dave.
Very open to signs, whether that be dreams, messages.
So much going on in here that I was constantly thinking, and for me, I'm such an overthinker already, so there was even more going on in here. So if there were times where, let's say I didn't have access to like calling someone, or I was like alone, and I would actually speak into my voice memos and talk to myself, or I would journal in my journal and kind of write down my thoughts and just word vomit basically. And then from there, like being able to see what I'm thinking helps me to analyze my thoughts in a way where I can start to create positive internal dialogue rather than the same negative thought patterns over and over.
May and I actually won Dave's crystal wrap necklaces for Underground Flow White Elephant gift exchange.
Me and May won his white elephant gift. Crystal effing quartz. Look at that. And it has what? Tell us. The cloth.
Oh, these are from out of the country.
That's dope, man. Where?
I don't remember.
Why don't you know? Yes, thank you. Look, we got the power.
And I was wearing it one day, and a lady stopped me, and she was admiring the necklace. You know, she was like, wow, I really love your necklace. And I was like, oh, a friend made it for me, you know. And then she goes, oh, is it okay if I take a picture of it, because I have one that's similar. I would like to make one just like this. When that lady said that, it kind of hit me like, damn, Dave is still inspiring people, although he's already passed. Like, even in death, Dave is still inspiring people.
there's no right way to cope. There's no formula. There's no end date. There's there's really no time that you can determine to move through something like this, but that's part of life. You have to do it at your own pace, and you have to remind yourself and love yourself enough to know that your way that fits you is the right way.
I grew so much from something so tragic because I think uncomfortability forces us out of our comfort zone.
Not only the material things that he's left us with, but just lessons of love and creativity.
Yeah, just so everyone knows, like, Dave is still here with us, but in a different way. Even though he's no longer here physically, he's here in spirit. He's here through every kendama player. He's here through every dancer. Dave lives within us now. Like, all those talents and that light that he gave to us, like, it's in us. Every time we do what we love and spread that love and light, like, that's Dave being alive, you know, within us.
He left all those gifts with us to continue to use in his memory, to continue to make this world a more beautiful place.